Wait, so that's what I said. That's what I just said. You said we disagreed with me when I just said that.
Right. So just to clarify, I just to make sure, if the only reason is that they are trans, right? If there's no like external reason, like I said at the beginning of the conversation, there are tons and tons and tons of really, really good reasons that people don't want to sleep with trans people, right? That are completely fine, and I don't think are bigoted or transphobic or anything. All right, good. I'm gonna come out on this like it's gonna be probably way weaker than you imagine.
Okay.
I think so. First, I want to say I think there's a lot of really good reasons that people don't like want to fuck trans people, and I think it's fine if you don't want to fuck trans people. I just think if you don't want to fuck them simply because they weren't like, if the only reason is because they weren't like born the gender that they identify with, I think it's like a little weird. I don't know if it's a transphobic because that seems like a bit of a stretch, but I would say it's like kind of like it's like unfair discrimination.
Unfair discrimination. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's as far as I would take it.
Okay, what if a person didn't want to sleep with someone because of the fact that they found out that like they had undergone like all sorts of extensive surgeries, such as like enhancing their breasts, enhancing the rest of their body, like face surgery and all sorts of cosmetic surgeries and things like that? Would you think that that person is being unfair?
No, not necessarily. Like if that's the reason you don't want to sleep, like I said, I think there's a lot of like legitimate reasons why people might not want to sleep with trans people. Like I think a lot of people don't find trans people attractive, and like it sucks, it really does. But like that's like the case. I think like people who want like long term relationships and want like to have children, like trans people, like a trans woman or a trans man might not be able to do that, and that might be something that turns them off. Like there's a lot of legitimate reasons.
Okay,
but like
give me the meaningful distinction between the thing that you originally opened with and the thing that I just said. What's the meaningful distinction?
Yeah. So the distinction gets at, so I've talked to like a lot of my like male friends, and I take them down this line of questioning where it's like, hey, so like what if there's this trans person who like in every other way was like exactly the same as like a cis woman, right? Like she looked like a cis woman, she's very attractive, like very stereotypically attractive, couldn't necessarily tell that they had tons of surgery. Let's say that like sexual assignment surgery is like super great and like the pussy is just the same. Like you go all the way down this rabbit hole, and the only thing is different is that that person was born like a man, right? Is like, or born male. It's like, do you think that like you would still like have sex with them? Let's say you don't want to reproduce, like it's just like a one night stand. And like I get from a lot of my like cis male friends, they'll say like ill no, like that's a man. And I feel like that's like a little bit, I don't like the word transphobic, but I feel like that like discrimination is kind of like weird. I don't know if I would like punish people for it or call them transphobic, but it seems kind of strange if like if that's the only reason you wouldn't want to sleep with somebody.
Okay, what if they didn't say it's a man? They just said, "No, I wouldn't," because like psychologically, I would just not be attracted. I don't like the idea of sleeping with a trans person. You'd say
Yeah,
that's necessarily bigoted?
I mean, maybe, yeah. I think a little bit. Like, I mean, and like people have like, I don't think it's necessarily. Maybe not. I don't know. I think there's like a lot of I think there's a lot of like really weird like stuff going on there. Like I guess my question I would be like, why? If it is like I just don't find this attractive, then I guess I would be okay with it. But it seems like that's like not the case for like the majority of men who have like, and we're specifically talking about trans women. I know it's like that seems to be the case for most people.
Well, sure, but I would think that there's plenty of people who have like their psychologically like rooted their sexuality in something like in biological sex.
Maybe I think we do that. That seems like a very like language thing because no one like we look at, so when we look at like when we're trying to determine like and like sorry, I don't want to like rehash shit that you might have talked about in your old conversation. I only cut the end of it.
Yeah,
but like
no problem with that at all. Go ahead.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the things that we like that determines what we're attracted to has like very not that it has nothing to do with biological sex, but it's not like had anything to do with like biological sex itself, but it's more like the results of biological sex. And so like if we get rid of those things,
What
those
do you
like
mean? What do you mean? What do you describe that?
so
What
like
do you mean?
so for example, with the exception of like I would say genitalia and like the ability to reproduce, like if you're attracted to someone who has like nice breasts, for example, like that's something that's like highly correlated with being a woman. But like technically a man can have nice breasts, right?
Wait,
Or like
no,
if
they
you like
can't. What are you talking about? Like, even if you look at like the worst
yeah,
cases of like gynecomastia, right? Like, their breasts aren't the same as like a woman's supple breasts. Like, not even a little bit. What are you talking about?
they can be pretty similar.
They're not at all. I've never seen a man with firm breasts. Period. Ever outside of like medical or surgical intervention. That doesn't exist. What are we talking about here?
I'm pretty sure, but like we don't even have to like die on that hill. Like I mean, there's a lot of things that people like having soft skin, having long hair. There's like a
Sure.
lot of things that we like. Hey, like this is what we find attractive, right? And like some people don't even like large supple breasts. Like I know a lot of guys who like girls with no titties, like, or who are like quote unquote flat chested, right?
I,
But like it seems like
I don't know about people liking girls who are flat chested. I can see like I can see. Actually, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, no, that sounds ridiculous to me. I don't know what we're talking about.
yeah,
Yeah,
and like I said,
that's not a
I'm gonna
thing,
seem like
man.
way weaker, but I feel I feel like any of these other reasons, right? Like if you don't like a trans person because they have boobs that aren't up to your standards, or you don't like a trans person because their jawline's too masculine or too strong, or if you don't like a trans person because they don't have like the soft skin that you like in a person, like I think all of that is okay. But I think if like the only reason is that like oh they were born this way and like in your mind it's like some sort of different thing. It just strikes me as like very weird, and I feel like that might be a little bit of like unjustified.
Okay, so all right, you're gonna have to like uphold that justification, but first off, like I want to point out, like a lot of times, like again, like sex as a concept can like influence someone's like sexual prospects without any sort of like direct observation of said sexual whatever of the sex of the individual, right? So
Mm-hmm.
like you can determine like yeah like at a very young age like I like women, like this is what I'm into, and then it doesn't matter like and before you even understand the concept of like sex and gender as being like distinct things, like you've already like determined like this is what a male is, this is what a female is, and this is what I want to sleep with, and then like hearing this person used to be a male, like that could be something that's like wait no, like I've always wanted to be with like a female, and this person, while they can be a woman, is not a female. And so then at that point, it's like, yeah, no, like this is not what like I'm not into. I would say that it's probably a mixture of both things, right? Like it's not just, for example, for me, I think I'm always attracted to incredibly gendered women on top of like the sex of the individual. I've always liked girls who are like significantly more traditional and like the way that they carry themselves and just like I guess kind of their outlook on life. And like I think I like very soft presenting women on top of it because like you can be particularly masculine or I don't know whatever the opposite of soft is woman, and that would be something that might be like a turnoff for me. Not what might it probably I can't say for sure, but I feel like it'd be a pretty big turnoff for me. Like just from experience, in my experience, it was. Maybe there's an exception to everything. I don't like using absolutes. Is probably no.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, so I would say that it's a combination of both. It's both their femininity, which would be probably more associated. That's a social construct, right? And like more associated with like with womanhood, right? And but also the sex as well. I think both of those concepts are things that like are what attract me. Like psychologically, the sex thing is what attracts me, and then and the femininity, and then physically, I would say like like the breasts and a very moist vagina are particularly attractive.
Okay, I guess. So I guess my question for you is there would there like would do you think that any sexual preferences might be wrong, right, or like not like morally good?
I can't think of any. Can you give me one? Maybe there could be something out there that's not. I don't like using absolutes,
Yeah,
but maybe you can think of
I
one.
could give one, but it's like a very extreme. Like if like obviously like pedophiles aren't okay, but like.
Oh, sure. Yeah, that would be one that would
Yeah,
be morally wrong. I'd give that easy.
but other than that, like and like I know you don't like to equivocate these two things because they are different, but like would you say like someone who doesn't want to date like black people, would you say they're probably okay? Like if that's their
Um,
preference?
hmm. It depends on what their reasoning and motivation for it is. Yeah, like so.
What if it's no other reason than they're black? It's not that they don't like the
No, there
way that
has to
dark
be an
skin looks.
underlying reason. Like there has to be an underlying reason. Like what about blackness is disqualifying? Why are they disqualifying them because they're black?
They just find it icky. Like that's the only reason.
Or they just don't find them attractive?
Yeah, they just find the idea of like having sex with a black person icky. Not necessarily that they're unattractive.
Well,
They
it's
might find
because you're
them
using
physically
specific
attractive.
words, so I need to make sure we're getting at it. Like, so that's why I rephrased it that way. Does the way that I rephrased it not seem like it's an accurate representation? Do they find that? Is it because they find them unattractive, or what do you mean by icky? Because it can mean several different things. Do they just find
Um,
black women unattractive, or what are you saying?
I don't let's call. I don't want to use the word unattractive because I feel like it's loaded. Unattractive kind of assume. Are you saying
How
like
is
physically
unattractive less
unattractive
loaded than
or
icky? What do you mean?
so icky it implies that like they just don't like it, I guess. Unattractive might imply that like they're physically have features that they don't find attractive, or like maybe it's something about like the skin. Not like unphysically attractive, but yeah, I would unattractive could work, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, so if it's just because they happen to find like black women unattractive, I mean, I think it's really weird because black women are absolutely ridiculous and blessed and have well developed bodies very often. But that's definitely me like objectifying them in a way. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm gonna be a little bit yeah. So if again if they just find black women to be unattractive, like that doesn't do it for them. No, I wouldn't say that that's like rooted in some. I don't. It's not necessarily rooted in racism, and so not necessarily problematic.
So my follow up question would be, if you have a black woman who is like white passing, right?
Hmm.
And like this guy goes out and he like pursues her and has sex with her, and then afterwards he finds out that like her father was half black, and then he's like suddenly disgusted. Would you say that like that disgust is like unjustified?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of the same
It's
place where I
not the
come with it
same thing,
from
man, and you
trans people,
know
right?
it. You know it's not the same thing. I try to engage it in as good as faith as possible, but you know it's not the same thing, even a little bit.
Wait,
Come
why is
on,
it not the same thing, right?
because one of these things is
I'm
so.
not.
Oh man, did you hear the conversation I previously had? One of these
I
things
only
is a
caught the
social
very end of it.
construct,
Right?
and what like okay, race is a social construct. It doesn't have like any actual bearing on like actual reality, whereas like the other one, like like someone's sex, it's not the same. Like sorry, I had to
Yeah,
roll.
I'm not saying it's equivalent as in like
Good. So if it's not equivalent, then yeah, that's where the analogy doesn't
not
hold up.
they're not exact. Wait, they're not exact one-on-one analogies, but it's very close. Like I
No, but the
think that
principles
like
are incredibly different. One of these things has to deal with like literal sexuality, and the other one is like literally just an ideological, like social construct.
wait, but so like so like if I give you a the same hypothetical, and say there's a woman who like or a trans woman, right, who like was presented as a woman, and for every like and let's say that like we're so far in the future that like
Yeah,
she's
basically, I get
exactly
it.
the
What you're
same as
basically
like
saying
the
is this person can determine, like, yo, like, I feel like this person is sexually, physically attractive, like, ostensibly, but the fact that they're trans is disqualifying, and I don't think that that's necessarily that's rooted in bigotry necessarily.
okay. I just think I don't like using maybe bigotry. I guess bigotry is fine. Yeah, I guess I would say I would just disagree. I don't know if we can like go any further because I guess I just think that
So you're saying no matter what, if
like
a person says I would be willing to be with the person, however, if they're trans, then that means no, that it's 100% unequivocally bigotry. That's the hill that you would like to die on.
not always, right?
Oh, wait, so that's what I
The
said.
reason
That's what
is
I just said.
only
You said we disagreed with me when I just said that.
Right. If so just to clarify, I just want just to make sure, if the only reason is that they are trans, right? If there's no like external, like I said at the beginning of the conversation, there are tons and tons and tons of really really good reasons that people don't want to sleep with trans people, right? That are completely fine, and I don't think are bigoted or transphobic or anything. But if like the only reason is that like that person was born a different way, right, and that necessarily has no like bearing on like the interaction, then I think maybe a little bit bigoted.
I think you're using the word bigotry entirely too flippantly then, because what bigotry is like literally it is a prejudice of some kind against individuals, specifically regarding like immutable characteristics. Um, that's what bigotry is. But you don't
That
have to
would
have
be,
a
but like
but you
even
don't have to
I
have
won't even use.
you don't have to have a prejudice in order for you to feel that way against that individual.
Okay.
What would
Well,
be the
okay, then
prejudice there? You don't
I
have
won't
to.
use bigotry. I'll use the original word I said. I just think it's like unjustified or unfair.
Okay, and that and explain to me what would be a justified like aversion,
A justified person.
a
I
justified
think if you
aversion.
aversion to like a trans person,
Mm-hmm. No, no, not to a
I
trans
think
person.
I
To
think
like a person in general. What would be a justified aversion?
I think anything like that. They don't like the way they look. They don't
Okay,
like
give
the
me a
way they
justified
dress.
aversion and tell me give me a justified aversion that is meaningfully distinct from the aversion that would be towards trans people.
Um, a justified that would be different. Oh, well, I
Meaningfully
would say all
distinct
of
from
these
the
things are
trans
different
one.
because I would say all of these things would be distinct because they necessarily might have or like you would believe to have like an impact on the interaction,
Like what?
right?
Give me an example of that.
Um, so for example, if you say like that's a really good example. If you say that like, oh, I only like girls um who have soft skin, right? When you like go to interact with them in a sexual manner and you touch their skin, like not having soft skin would like cause like emotional distress to you, I guess, right?
Emotional distress. Do you think
Yeah,
that
I mean,
you think it would really cause?
not like severely. Like I don't. I mean, like the emotional stress I use very very lightly. Like it might make you uncomfortable. And you might be like, like I don't like that or whatever, right? Like if you were to touch a girl and her skin wasn't as soft as you like it to be, they might be like, I don't like that, right?
Okay.
And I think that's fine. I think it just gets weird when we distinguish on things that don't have any that don't have like any bearing on the interaction, especially when those things are tied to like immutable characteristics.
Um. Hmm. Well, sorry, I'm making a decision again. I probably shouldn't play this game while I'm doing it.
No, it's
I'm
fine.
not good enough. I'm not good enough at it to be able to do this like well. Yeah. So let's do this. Okay. So I missed everything. I'm sorry, man. I got into a really hard plot. Can you repeat that one more time? I'm so sorry, man.
No, it's fine. I just think like when usually when we have like preferences and the reason we have preferences is because like there is some like like the preference has some bearing on our like interaction with said person, right? So like if I don't like a person who's rude, it's because like that the way that person acts like causes a feeling in me that's like very negative.
Mhm.
And I feel like when preferences are fine, but when they're linked to like immutable characteristics, they can be kind of like weird and unjustified.
Okay. So like what weird and immutable characteristics? Well, I mean, weird just is too nebulous to mean anything, so I can't interact with that part. Um, and then um, yeah, I guess I can't really think of any immutable characteristic that would like. Well, no, no, for sure. I would say okay, like say you have like a person who like you think is particularly stacked, and then you discover like that like her butt is fake, like that could be like a disqualifying thing, right?
Um, yeah, I guess so.
Okay, and so then in that case, like with that person, then like and like that's a pretty immutable characteristic, right? like barring like surgery or something.
Like surgery, is it? I guess like so I get I'm not trying to weasel out of anything, right? But I guess my question would be like, why don't you like someone with a fake butt? And if it's like, well, I think like someone who would do that like has a like I would assume that they have like a certain type of personality,
For
and I'd be like,
sure.
oh yeah, like that's fine.
That's
Like you
literally
make
my
like
reasoning.
generalizations.
That's literally my reason, actually. One of my exes, she was like
Yeah,
literally talking about getting her butt done. I thought she had a pretty nice butt as it was, but she was talking about getting it done, and I was like, that's like that. This relationship would like pretty much end there. And my reasoning was that I want my daughter. If I was to have daughters, I would want them to have the understanding that God made them the way that He made them, and that they're perfectly acceptable and fine, and whatever with who they are, and not to feel like the need in order to change themselves in order to meet some standard like of other people. And I think that that part is ridiculous. And so because of that, it's like I don't think that I would be able to really adequately like teach my daughter that lesson if the entire time while I'm like trying to make like get her to understand that, and it's like wait, but mom has a fake butt, like you married somebody, or how do I expect my wife to back that up, right? Like how do I expect my wife to co-sign that when it's like you couldn't accept your own body, the reason why you actually had to get it like cosmetically altered. So then it's like, yeah, no, I don't think that that's something you would be able to really like steel man for me and my children. So then for me, it's like automatically disqualifying in that regard. Furthermore, I don't know. I think the idea of like I don't know. I like the idea of just being with a natural woman. I think that's something I just want.
yeah. I mean, I think I don't know. The natural woman seems kind of weird, but like weird is stupid. I don't know, that doesn't mean anything. Um, I think that like I think that's fine to have that like that preference for the reasons you have it. Like I guess my like issue would be like I guess theoretically, let's say like you have two women and one woman like has a these two women physically are like twins. You can't or like you can't tell the difference. Like they're identical. And like one woman woke up one day and someone like gave her a fake butt, and it looks exactly the same. You can't tell it's different, but like she wakes up with this fake butt and she knows this butt is fake. And then and the other woman has the real butt. It seems like weird to like. I would say in that situation, it would seem it would seem not weird. I don't want to use that word. It would seem unjustified or like unfair to like discriminate against one woman over the other.
I would say like well in this case like yeah I probably wouldn't discriminate necessarily because in this point like it's like something happened to them like outside of their will. I mean outside of their will. Like whatever like that would be um that wouldn't like then I wouldn't the entire argument I presented to you wouldn't even apply in that situation, right?
Yeah,
Like so no, it wouldn't. Yeah, I wouldn't have the same positioning, like because my reasoning was based on the argument that I presented to you, and yeah, that's not there in the one that you just came up with. So yeah, they're different.
yeah, no, yeah. I completely agree with you, and I think that's kind of where I draw the line. And I think that like
But that
I
wait,
think
that doesn't apply
to
to the
be
trans
fair,
situation
in reality, well,
at all.
I don't think generally it does, but like theoretically in the future, maybe.
Wait. So theoretically, in the future, in the case in which somebody like unfairly makes a person trans without their knowledge, and they wake up having done the surgery and been and being trans now, like that's something that happened against their will. And so then at that point, then like, what are we talking about, bro? That's so convoluted. I don't even know how to follow it. It's not only do I think that that's so like that's ridiculous, like that it has never happened. I don't think it ever will happen.
Okay, okay, I see what you're getting at there. Okay, so not necessary. So your biggest thing there is that it happened against their will, and so that you don't like that
With the
someone would
butt
make the
thing,
decision
well,
with the
yeah,
butt thing that
yeah,
someone would make the
yeah,
decision
but specifically because like for the butt thing, it was like about the fact that like I don't like the idea of
that someone would
um
make the decision. Yeah.
yeah, because then
Um.
like in order for her to be able to be supportive of me when I'm like trying to explain to our assumed daughter that like that she would that like to love herself and be comfortable in her own body and all those kinds of things. I don't think she would probably have the tools to be able to do that. And I don't think I think my daughter would be looking at her like, you're crazy. Like, how are you going to sit here and tell me this, but you have a fake butt? Like, how does that work? What do you mean, like, just
Yeah.
accept my body for what it is? Like, nigga, you couldn't accept your body.
So I guess my question would be: do you think that like being transgender is like a choice that people make?
Um, I would say the surgery is a choice, like for the other people have to choose to go under. But no, I wouldn't say being transgender is a choice. No.
Mm. Okay, but you think so being transgender isn't a choice, but you would say that like the being like post-op trans, like having operations, is like a choice that a trans person makes, and you think that decision is one that necessarily is okay for people to discriminate based on?
No, here's the deal. I don't think that most people like this is why why the analogy didn't hold up at all. Because I don't think people would be discriminating based on the fact that they made the choice. I think people would be discriminating based on the idea that and I'm using discrimination not in a way of like doing something wrong, but they would like be
Or
making
being bigoted? Yeah.
right, yeah. But they would be making that distinction off of the fact that it's like, well, like, hey, this is a kind of just like this person was born a male and that's disqualifying for me. More so than it's just like, oh no, like they had a surgery. Like I don't think that would be like the driving factor.
Yeah, I guess. Hmm. Would you? So if what if? I don't know. This is just gonna go down the hypotheticals because, like, I think in reality and in practice, we probably agree, like 99% of the time on like, or probably even more than that, on like that people have the right to say, I don't want to like fuck trans people. This is more just like a fun, like intellectual like engagement, like argument for me.
I
But
feel it.
what do you think if like someone was born? So like there can be like a situation in which what was it? I remember it was on like it's like a thing. Oh, where you can be born like male, but like be like insensitive to like testosterone,
Oh, you're
right?
talking
And
about
so like
AIS?
is that AIS?
Yeah, it's androgen insensitivity syndrome. Yeah,
Maybe. I don't know what that's called, but I'll like take your word for it. But
yeah.
yeah, there's something you can be born with where you are and there's like
Where
a
you don't respond to
uh,
testosterone, so you present very clearly like a female.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
even to the point where like you can have like a vagina
Mm-hmm.
and like be basically completely female presenting.
Yep.
Do you think it would be like I don't know, do you think it would be like unjustified if someone didn't want to like engage with that person because they were like born with XY chromosomes?
Yeah, I don't think that would be wrong. No, you think it would be?
Yeah, I personally would think that's like kind of
Oh, I'm so
like
sorry.
an
Give me half a
unjustified form of
second.
discrimination. Yeah, you're fine.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
You're fine. A burger sounds good right now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
bro.
I think I think it would be like I don't know. I think it would be like a little bit unfair to say like you have these chromosomes, therefore like I don't want to like sleep with you. But
Unfair. That's
I
such
might.
a
Yeah, it seems unfair.
wait. Okay, it would only be unfair depending on what their underlying reason was, right?
I mean, yeah, but I mean, assuming like this like hypothetical situation, like this
Yeah,
person like presents as female in every like conceivable way, and like the only reason is because like they have XY chromosomes. That seems kind of unfair to me.
yeah. That's I don't know. I think this is where the wildness comes in because it's like where the wild things are. Like because like for so like for like many people like the reason why they would like take that stance is because it's just like yeah like bro like you, I won't do it for the XY chromosomes because of the fact that you won't be able to reproduce. And so then at that point, then a person could make that decision, right? Because I want kids. And like, how would that be unfair? Well, I mean, I guess in the sense that like
Yeah,
life is
yeah.
unfair, like because you
So,
didn't
so
like
I don't.
What do you mean? What do you mean by unfair?
So I don't think that like having the reason that like because they have XY chromosomes is necessarily not even because they have because they don't want to reproduce is like necessarily like a bad reason. Like if that was the reason, I would say yeah, that's fine. But if the reason was just like you have XY chromosomes and like that makes me feel unattracted to you, like that seems like unfair or like unjustified.
Um, yeah, I don't know.
And you know what? And I'll like extend like an olive branch. Maybe this is me just like feeling like that person in this situation, like having no control over that, and like life being unfair and is fine, and like
Wait,
morally, it's probably like neutral or okay.
so then all sexual selection is unfair, then, right? Because like if a person, if a person decided, yeah, I don't like flat chested women, and this person happens to have like a flat chest, it's like, yeah, then at that point, then that would be unfair to you, right? We just got fresh press,
Um.
baby.
Well, I have to think about that. Give me a second, please.
Wait, is there anything to think? Okay, I got you. You can take as much time as you want.
Hmm. Yeah, I think I might actually agree with you because like so like where my mind goes with that is like it seems like oh well like there's plenty of guys out there who like flat chested women like this isn't like a rare thing, but then I don't but like thinking about it I don't think the rarity of a thing should matter either, right? So like it might just suck that like if no one on the planet wants to sleep with you because you're like so rare or something like that, like your life just might suck, and but that's what it is. So yeah, I mean, yeah, that's a good question. I don't have an answer for that. I guess you win. All right, got me again.
No, no, no,
Good.
no, no. I'm not
All
trying to
right.
get you. That's not what this is. It's not about winning or losing. I was trying to figure out where we were, like where it was, like where we were missing each other. Because this is like your opinion, and it's not like this isn't a gotcha. But I'm just saying like so it really does seem like your argument boils down to if a person decides that they have a sexual selection that is limited in any scope, any of the people who would be outside of that scope based off of their biology would immediately be unfair. In fact, I would need you to then that I'm taking it a step further and kind of try to take in the win, but that's not what I care about.
Okay.
Like it would seem like then for if a person is a heterosexual, then it's unfair to all the other women. I mean, if a male is a heterosexual, then it's unfair to all the men that like him because they can't control that they were born men. But this guy's a heterosexual, and therefore it immediately disqualifies all other men. That's not.
Yeah.
Why would that be unfair?
So the thing I pointed to earlier was like when you I get and I think I might be walking this back, but like I think there's it. So to me, I think or it feels like there's a difference to like having a preference of something that like has an impact on the interaction versus having a preference for something that doesn't have an
You don't
impact on
think
the
big titties
interaction.
have an impact on a sexual interaction?
No,
Oh, well,
I
you
do,
already
which is
conceded that one.
why
You conceded that one.
yeah, which
Okay.
is why
All
I
right.
said like big titties would be fine, right? And like so like
Sure. And so now I
being
guess.
male or like having a penis would be fine. Or like having a penis would be fine too.
But then, you don't think that some of these things can have an impact on the interaction mentally, right? Like psychologically, if I found out that the girl that I was dating actually lied to me and was like underage, that would psychologically destroy me.
Yeah, no, I think you're right.
Okay. Similarly, if I found out that the person that I was dating was actually born like as a male, then that would destroy me too.
Yeah, I mean, to be very clear, no point in this conversation was I advocate, and I think this is because this is a conversation we're coming from. At no point was I advocating that like trans people shouldn't disclose their transness.
I know, I
I
know, I
think
know,
that's
I know. But I'm
yeah,
saying, so in that case, so then these things would be things that would like impact an individual, and like so then in this case, it seems like it could be like justified for a person to have their own sexual agency and to make the determination that in the same way that they would like might not like flat chested women in the same way that they might not like children or people that are underage. Children sounds gross. But if you like you know what I mean, like if you in the same way that people can make all of these distinctions, right? Like, I don't want to be with the person who's been divorced. That could be a distinction as well. Like, all discrimination, the fact that discrimination exists, not harmful discrimination, but just discretion. I'll use that word. The fact that discretion and agency exist, like, inherently, like, means that some people will be left out, right? And like, but I think that's what agency is. So it now sounds like, really just boiling this conversation down to its entirety, you have a problem with sexual agency.
I wouldn't say that. I guess the problem I have is like if you say that like the impact that something has on someone's mind, right? Necessarily, um, like this could like be a determining factor on whether or not like someone could like or someone could make like a right like choice with with their sexual agency or whatever. I feel like we could get into some weird like I don't know. The thing that comes to my mind is like, well, then like any racist who says they don't want to have sex with a black person because it would make them feel like bad or it would make them feel gross is like justified then and having that preference. And maybe that's like a fine bullet to bite, and I can just hate the racist for being racist and not for not wanting to sleep with black people.
I don't know, man. It really annoys me every time we like go from gender to race. Like, I feel like that's it's just on a loop.
Wait, even though these things aren't the same, that doesn't mean they're not similar,
But they're
right?
meaningfully distinct, in that one is literally a social construct which would have literally zero impact on not only the the sexual experience, but shouldn't have any meaningful distinction on the psychological experience unless somebody is defective in a way. And I don't think we should probably be making prescriptions in order to
Wait,
maintain
hold on.
defective
But
people.
don't
Oh,
do
a
this
racist is
because
a defective person.
you just wait, you just literally use divorce, which is completely a social construct, right? As
Sure.
well.
Hmm. But I don't think it's defective.
So you don't think you think race is a defective social construct?
I'm saying
Uh,
racism is a defective it's a defective ideology.
okay.
Do you disagree with that?
Um. Do I think racism is like yes? I think racism is the defective ideology. I don't know
Okay, okay.
about.
Okay, so
But
then if
do you
racism
think
is
all
defective
racial
ideology,
discrimination?
so
Do you
no,
think all racial discrimination is bad?
wait, all racial discrimination is what?
Do you think all like racial discrimination is bad or racism?
Wait, 'cause you said no, not all racial discrimination would be racist necessarily. And so no,
Yeah,
I don't think
I
that all
did
racial
specifically say
discrimination is
racism.
racism. I mean, so no, I would not say that. But what I would say is that racism in and of itself is a defective ideology, and I don't think that I would be like disqualifying or qualifying like based on someone's like defect.
Okay. Um.
Or I don't think I would be like trying to like compare a sound ideology, like someone saying that they want to be with someone who's biologically female. Um, uh, like I wouldn't compare those two. Hold on, I'm sorry. Uh, okay. Yeah, I'm sorry, I lost where I was going.
Yeah. So I kind of get what you're saying. So my question would be, do you think it would be okay to discriminate? You might have answered this already, so like we might just be, but you might be just restating something. But do you think it would be okay to discriminate like sexually against someone of any like who is a specific race if the reason isn't because they're racist and it's something else?
Sure, then that'd be perfectly fine.
Okay. So like if like a white guy is just like, hey, I just don't find darker skin attractive. I like really pale white
Perfectly
people.
fine
Like
to me.
that's like a perfectly fine.
One
Okay.
hundred percent fine to me. I would see literally nothing wrong with that.
All right.
Now, if
Yeah.
that
I
same
mean, I don't.
individual is willing to like engage with like darker skinned Asians and darker skinned like other people, then it'd be like, I don't know, nigga. It sounds like your reasoning is sus. Um, but yeah, but that's that. yeah, if their real reasoning is just that they they don't want to date like a darker skinned person, that's totally fine to me.
Okay. I think no,
Is
I
that
think
not
I
fine to you?
do agree with you. No, no,
Okay.
that's completely fine with me. I think that's
Okay.
fine. Like it like I think I agree with you is that I would be really, really questioning of like why that person like feels that way. Because it seems like really sus. But
Sure.
ultimately, if like I know a lot of weird dudes who like fetishize like really, really, really pale Asian women and really, really, really pale like white women, if that's like their thing, then like I don't think there's necessarily anything wrong with that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I guess I think I think I agree with you, and I think it's more. It just feels like it's like that thing you said earlier, where it just feels like for like certain people in the world, it just really, really fucking sucks. But like in actuality, I don't actually have like a moral problem with it's just like a gut reaction based on like the feeling that like life is unfair, and how you said earlier.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Okay. Oh man, this is actually a good conversation too. I think conversations not on panels are just inherently better to have.